Hey, y'all. Welcome back to a May 2nd edition of Actor Conspiracy Theories. I am Jordan Woods Robinson, and I'm releasing a new Actor Conspiracy Theory video every day in the month of May. This is a personal challenge for me. It's a way to give you some free content, and it's also a way to celebrate all those actors and writers out there who are doing the good work. So, today, we've got a script here called Tell Me Lies. Don't know much about it. Sharon and Drew. We do know right off the bat that Sharon, this is her audition or their audition, but we don't know much else. There are a number of pages here, so we are going to jump right into it because there are about 4 different pages that we have to look at. Before we do that, again, I want to say thank you for everyone who leaves comments. I do go through and read them. And I want to say... Oh, the writer's strike is going on right now, and I am WGA strong. I'm standing with all you writers. Thank you for making the sacrifice that is so important for our future generations, and we got you. We got you. We know that this is hard, and we know that it's going to ripple everywhere, but I stand with you, so thank you. I don't think I have anything else. These are going to be posted every day. If you haven't already, subscribe to the YouTube channel. And let's get going. Here we go. So I'm going to remove this. I do know that this square here, look at all this information that just came through. Teaser. We talked about that in the last episode. Oh, by the way, in the last episode, I was so proud of myself. I was talking about historical dates. I got within a 5-year span of a date, just out of my head. I was pretty happy about that. I do know that the start happens here, so let's actually jump down. We'll come back up and read this in a little bit, but let's jump down and let's start where the audition starts. I'll start here. A second knock. Confused, Drew walks over and opens the door to reveal a campus counselor, Sharon, 40s, and a security officer, Officer Dan. Andrew Wrigley? Yes. My name is Sharon. I work in the office of Dean of Students, and this is Officer Dan. May we speak with you for a few moments. Sorry, that's a very specific word. Oh, I can't mark on here. Wait. It's not going to let me mark. Okay, so we're going to go through this and not be able to mark anything, but that's okay. We're still going to have the same conversation. Drew says, is something wrong? Sharon gives him a reassuring smile. That's why we're here, actually, to make sure there's nothing wrong. I don't understand. Why don't we talk in your dorm? Drew hesitates. He isn't in the mood for this right now. I have class soon. Is it possible to do this later? No, it's not. Off Drew's face. So, F-bomb, worried. End of that scene. Interesting. It's funny how we can go through and make adjustments to things that the casting director put in here, but we can't mark it up, right? How are we allowed to do that? Anyway, moments later. Okay, so they want us to separate this into 2 scenes. However, this is important as an actor to know that this is the way that the audience is going to see this is one moment leading directly into the next moment. This is a hard cut from this moment to this moment. So we're in Drew's dorm room. Moments later, Officer Dan stands by the door, patrolling the door. Sharon sits on a chair across from Drew, who sits on his bed. Drew clasps his hands together to keep them from shaking. All right. Scene 2, start. How you doing, Drew? Why am I do this sometimes when I have to read a lot. I think I don't breathe properly. I'm not yawning because I'm bored. I'm yawning because I'm not breathing properly. How you doing, Drew? Drew tries to keep the panic out of his voice, but fails. Fine. Good. How about your classes? Drew eyes dart over to the D+ sitting on his desk, a beat. Yeah, good. Sharon smiles sadly. She's direct but gentle. I took a look at your transcript. You had a tough first semester. Drew shifts on his seat. Oh, yeah, it's been hard adjusting. I guess I wasn't prepared for the college workload. College is a big adjustment. Drew nods silently, unsure where this is going. Sharon produces an anonymous... What is this? Hold on. Why did this font just change? Look at that. Oh, I can't get in there. She produces that originally said a letter from so-and-so or an affidavit written by... But the casting director has gone through and very cleverly redacted that information and said an anonymous note. So that's one of the first places that we have to go look. Hands it to Drew. I received this a few days ago. Drew reads it, stunned, his worst effing fear. Can you tell us anything about what's in the letter? He looks up at her, terrified. I don't know anything about this. Do you know why someone would send it? I have no idea. Is there anyone who might be trying to get you in trouble? Maybe a friend that's upset with you? Ooh, the word friend lands on him. Ooh, I love that. No. A beat. Sharon is seemingly sympathetic. This is a very heavy secret to be carrying if it's true. It's not. I don't even know. redacted, different character name, Kara. Sharon nods, studying Drew's face for a long moment. We know this could very well be a prank, but the accusation is very serious, so we have an obligation to look into it. I swear I don't know anything. Okay, thanks for speaking with us. Just to be clear, you're not in any trouble. We're looking into it, and we'll let you know if anything arises. If anything arises, I thought I wasn't in trouble. For now, yes, but as I said, we have an obligation to look into it. Off Drew, his head spinning, unable to breathe. That's where it ends, but look at this. My little mouse changes. Let's get rid of that. Okay, now we got some new information here. Title card, Tell Me Lies, Act 1. So that was the teaser. We talked about teasers in the last episode about this is one of the first things, and you saw those are the first 2 scenes of the whole dang episode. So we know it's an episode because there's a teaser. That doesn't happen in movies. Usually. I mean, there are stylistic ways to argue that, but we're on scene 3. So these were the first 2 scenes. So this is setting up the setting up the mystery. I like to think of it as a slingshot of like, you pull it back, all that tension, and then it goes off. So we're learning from this how the rest of the episode is going to unfold. Interior, Lucy's dorm room. Okay, so we were in Drew's dorm room? Hold on. Yep. Oh my gosh. Why are you yawning? Tied on Lucy's face in the mirror, worried. Freshly showered, wrapped in a towel, Lucy stares at her reflection, but she's not really seeing herself. She's distracted, lost in thought. I have a theory about that. It's been a couple of days since she sent an anonymous note. And now that is the initial adrenaline has worn off. She's seriously doubting the decision. She's not yet aware of any repercussions, but she knows they'll come sooner or later. Suddenly, Stephen appears behind her, touching her arm. Startled, she jumps slightly, then inhales and laughs. Sorry, you scared me. Great. Now let's go back up and look at this. This is the beginning of the episode. Tell Me Lies 109. Okay, interior, Drew's dorm room, day, April 2008. Great. It's a couple days after, oh, interesting. A couple days after, so sensitive content coming up. Get ready. It's a couple days after the end of 108, which they mean episode 108, because this is episode 109, which means episode 9 of series 1. It's a couple days after the end of 108. Drew sits in his PJs at his desk, porn playing on his laptop, but he's not actually watching it. He's staring off into space, his mind unable to escape into the porn. Same thing as what's going on with Lucy, minus the porn, but both of them know something that we're going to come back to this, but this is a trauma fight or flight response, and we're going to talk more about that in a second. Sounds of laughter, people heading into breakfast, outside the door, classmates without a care in the world. Drew eyes the D+ on his essay on his desk. Wow, that's new information. Cool. He's not used to it being a bad student. He has no idea how to handle it. We hear the sounds of keys. Drew's roommate, Liam, enters with his girlfriend. The energy is instantly awkward, possibly because he's sitting there playing porn on his laptop. Hey, just came by to grab a few things. Girlfriend hovers in the doorway as Liam grabs a change of clothes and his schoolwork. It's clear Liam has barely been living here all semester. Liam eyes the porn, embarrassed. Drew shuts his laptop. Liam finishes packing, heads to the door. See ya. Liam's girlfriend throws Drew a look that lives somewhere between pity and disgust. The door shuts behind them. Drew sits in the quiet of the room, very alone. Suddenly, we hear a knock at the door. Drew sits, wait for Liam to enter, thinking he must have forgotten something. But then a second knock. Confused, Drew walks over and opens the door to reveal a campus counselor, Sharon, and a security officer, Officer Dan. Great. Okay. What do we know so far? We know that we're in a college. We know that it is 2008, which there's a bit of media being presented. There's a computer. There are videos playing. I forget if Lucy had anything video-wise going on. I don't think so. But this is the birth. 2008 is the birth of the iPhone. 2000. So think about this milestone-wise. These people are in trouble, which is why, possibly why Lucy sent a what was it? An anonymous note, an anonymous letter, as opposed to writing something on her phone. Because coming out of this time, there would be Palm Pilots, there would be texting, there would be PDAs, all of that other stuff. But the iPhone as that was a game changer for the smartphone world, and it was less common than it is today, obviously, for people to send whole emails and things on their phones. Anyway, that's just something to acknowledge as we're getting into the world here of the time frame. Do we know? And just the fact that they said Super 2008 allows me to believe that this is a flashback. Otherwise, God, I really wish I could highlight this stuff, but I can't. Every time I highlight something, it highlights that text. Wonder if we could see the casting director on here. We can't. Okay. But this, April 2008, allows me to believe that this is a flashback. Something in the series that is a little bit more current, a little more, okay, no, the reason why my brain just blipped out on me for a second is because I saw this 2022, and then I saw this actor's name, and I went, did I just choose a script that has not been released yet? And I don't know. I'm going to finish this video. But there's a possibility. There's a possibility that this video won't ever see the light of day, and I'll have to do another one. That's okay. But this is, this one of the reasons why I do these videos, or one of the things I have to be aware of, is not releasing any content before the producers have had a chance to release it. So I have access to the script. That doesn't mean anyone else necessarily does. But look, this is filmed in 2022, 2023, meaning, and it's been over a year, so hopefully it's released. But that means that it's realistic that the subject matter of this world is modern, is current. Thus, especially if they're putting a super up here, this is a flashback. So Liam or Drew, or probably Drew, or maybe Lucy, we're seeing some younger versions of them. We're seeing the 18, 19-year-old versions of these characters that when we flash forward, we're seeing the early 30s versions in today. So that's just something to note. The audience has already got 9 episodes of experience with these older characters, and now they're getting to see them younger. Great. Okay. Is there anything else? So we know the time frame. We know the characters. We know that both Liam and Lucy are in this state of staring. And now here's where this is an opinion. It's a fact that we know that about them, but it's an opinion of what I'm about to offer. But I have this theory that when we're reliving a trauma, or not even, a trauma is anything that surprises us. A trauma, y'all, is you can be traumatized by someone coming up and tickling you. If a friend tickles you, or someone who you find attractive tickles you, that's very different from a stranger tickling you in Walmart. That's trauma, right? And it's all coming from the same social mechanism of being tickled. But the fact that it surprised you and the fact that it was unwelcomed is a trauma. And so our brain records traumas as a way of playing them back. It's a fight or flight mechanism. Whenever we find ourselves in a situation in which there is imminent danger, our brain says, oh, I got you. And if anyone has seen the movie Inside Out, it's this. The brain goes, oh, I can help right now. And it plays a memory of something that you've already experienced, thus giving you more opportunity to be able to escape it in the future or to avoid it in the future. So now, the fact that Liam and Lucy are staring off into blank space, negative space, that allows me to believe that they are watching this video, probably the same video. They were probably there at the same time, whatever happened. And the way I think of it is you're just in a dark movie theater by yourself. And so we've got that forced perspective of that we're probably in the back of the theater and there's that giant screen, but it's only taking up so much of our awareness. But everything else is pitch black and guiding us toward that. And we forget to take in everything else. And so it turns off our sensory awareness of other things around us. And think about times when you have been caught standing in your kitchen or standing in your bedroom or at the store or something, and someone comes up, hey, and says, hey, you okay? And you go, oh, yeah, no, I was just thinking. You were watching that video play out. You were analyzing something as a way of trying to figure out a problem in your life. So we know that that's going on with Liam and Lucy. And now, as the actor, your job is almost to not add anything to that. Your job is to allow yourself to that was a half-assed attempt to allow yourself to blur out everything else in your world, visually physically, audibly, and I'm going to try to do it right now, just allow. And that wasn't quite true because my legs are crossed, and I realized after the fact that like that response from the brain would have changed my breath, it would have changed my spine, it would have changed my awareness, and all I was really doing there was trying to find the ocular response of the eyes responding to this. Anyway, we know that that's happening. Okay. We also know that Liam was just interrupted by his roommate, and so when he starts the second scene, and so the first time there's a knock happening, we go, oh yeah, that makes sense. Liam knocked, or his roommate knocked because he doesn't want to walk back in on whatever was about to transpire. And so he sits there quietly waiting for the door to unlock. And then when it doesn't, and there's a second knock, he goes, what the hell? Why do I have to come open the door for you? Or he's confused. It says he's confused, but there's more to that than just being confused. He doesn't know if it's his roommate. He doesn't know anything. It could be his girlfriend, the roommate's girlfriend, coming back and being like, I always loved you. Whatever. He doesn't know. He's confused. Okay. Met with Sharon, 40s, and a security officer, Officer Dan. Let's take just a moment and acknowledge some of the environment that's going on right here. So they are standing at the transition of a dorm room. Big, heavy metal door. I can't think of any dorm rooms that I've ever been in where it's been like a flimsy little wooden door. Like this is, they take security very seriously. Almost a jail door. He's standing there probably in shorts and a t-shirt or whatever. And then there's these very official people standing there staring at him who represent the school. So looking very official indeedly doodly. So let's... Andrew Wrigley? Yes. My name is Sharon. Why didn't she say her last name? That's interesting. Maybe that's part of her training. Maybe in college, it's less disarming or more... It's disarming to only use your first name. If she said her last name, maybe there's like a, oh God, I'm in trouble, right? Maybe she is doing this intentionally to say, my name's Sharon. I just have a couple questions for you. Not a big deal. I work in the office of Dean of Students, and this is Officer Dan. May we speak with you for a few moments? Okay. So we know that Drew is... Oh, you know what? I don't even want to focus on scene 1. I want to focus on scene 2. So let's just go through this kind of quickly. I work in the office of Dean of Students. Dean of Students is often, I believe, in charge of admissions and student life. If there is a concern about mental health or suicide risk, if there's a concern of, when I was at NYU, there was a hotline that you could call that was completely anonymous. You could just dial 9999 from any on-campus phone. And you could talk to a licensed therapist for free, which is pretty amazing. And it was completely anonymous, unless you shared information which I think is risk of suicide or death. I think those are really the main two. But like, you can talk about drug use, you can talk about any number of heavier subjects that I'm not going to mention right now. And they just listen to you and they provide support. So, Dean of Students is probably wrapped up in that. It is student life, making sure that you are taken care of. Okay, may we speak with you? Is something wrong? That's why we're here, actually, to make sure that nothing's wrong. I don't understand. Why don't we talk in your dorm? Because they're in a public space. There's this hallway. Everything's very echoey. Everyone can hear every conversation. Drew hesitates because he doesn't know if he should let them in. He's not in the mood for this right now. He was already in this fight or flight mode. He was trying to escape from that with some distraction, wasn't successful. I don't believe this is true. I have some class soon. I don't think that's true, or else he would have been, or maybe it is, and maybe he was just trying to clear his mind a bit before he had to go off to class. Either way, I feel like this, I have a class soon, is a little bit of a, he's definitely dismissing them as a possibility this later. Officer Dan, I didn't realize this, but it's not Sharon that says it. It's the officer who's standing there in his very well-fitted security officer, campus thing. Wait, do we know that he's a security officer? Oh yeah, security officer, not a cop. Okay, good. All right. So campus officer, and he says no. And that's it. And we end on, yeah, so this means off Drew's face. That means the camera focuses on him as he processes this, maybe even zooms a little bit, and we hear that, right, there's a sound effect there that hard cuts us into Drew's dorm room. Moments later, they're sitting, officer stands by the door, fight or flight, or not a fight or flight, a flight risk, possibly. He wants to make sure that he's already scoped out the joint. He knows that they're on the third floor, that Drew isn't going to make a run for it. He's not going to jump out the window, but he might try to take the door. So we do know, by Officer Dan being by the door, we do know this is a big thing. We don't know what it is yet. Sharon sits in a chair across from Drew, who sits on his bed. So they are in, either this is a studio dorm room where everything's all in one room. Yeah, he's not guaranteed to have a kitchen yet. Some dorm rooms have kitchens, some don't. We don't know. Oh, he did have a roommate, but he was hardly ever around. Okay. So anyway, we're getting a sense of this, that it's probably all in one room. Okay. Drew clasps his hands together, sitting on his bed to keep them from shaking. How are you doing? So this is already a very... We close off in moments of this. We have our vulnerability in our chests. When you're being open to something, when you're accepting risk, when you're encountering something, we take off this vulnerability jacket and we allow ourselves to be a little more exposed in here. This is what we're protecting. And so very often when we get into situations where we are protecting ourselves, where we are hiding, we close in. So these shoulders are coming in, these hands are coming down. He's slumped, his vision is down, my knees are actually having to come together in order to hold my hands, which means that my toes are a little pointed in here, which is it's a very specific energy, and it's a very specific place. And I bet even if you just put your body in that position right now, your brain already starts to interpret that in a very specific way versus sitting up, and doing a power pose and opening up your arms to the ceiling. Your brain is interpreting this in different ways already, simply because your body is leading the charge. How are you doing, Drew? Fine. Good. It's closed off. He doesn't want that conversation to unfold any further than it is. So the two things that I'm actually interested in here as we go through, or multiple things, but we've already talked about how Sharon has already employed some of her strategy by not saying her last name. She's putting him at ease. Where are the places in which she is employing a strategic, psychological, therapist approach to talking to him and allowing him to feel more comfortable? How are you doing, Drew? Fine. Good. How about your classes? Right? Look how she's getting into it. She's not putting him on this. She's disarming him a little bit. She's put him back into a safe space. She's allowed him to sit on his bed. She's probably asked if she could, what are the things that happened between this moment and this moment? She's like, are you, where would you like to sit? And he says, I guess I'll sit here. And she goes, great. Do you mind if I sit here? Is it okay if I pull the chair up? And she's probably given him some agency there. She's probably continuing all of these questions that she's asking, which are very personal, very casual questions before she gets into it. This is important. This is part of the strategy. How about your classes? Drew darted over to the D+ sitting on his desk, which we know now is part of an essay. It's interesting. I wish I could mark the essay, but I can't. It would be interesting to see. Where is it? There. D+ on his essay on his desk. It'd be interesting to see. So that D+, I imagine, that essay was written after the fact of something bad happening. Whatever this event is that happened, he wrote this essay after. Thus, his score, his awareness, his overall structure died because he was not really a part of that process. He was so focused on this other stuff going on in his life that he just did what he could to scoot by. Now, my question is, did the essay have anything to do with the events? I don't think so on first glance. Or if it did, it would have to be very, very deeply shrouded in fiction or in hypothetical situations, because otherwise the professor would have flagged this and turned it in. So I think it was probably something that he just turned in order to get the grade and move on. But he wasn't really paying attention because he's used to getting good grades. Okay. So he's avoiding these conversations. Again, she says, how about your classes? And he doesn't really want to get into it. So he just, yeah, fine. Yeah, good. It's fine. Good. We're, good. Sharon smiles sadly. She knows that he's lying. She probably looked up his transcripts. She probably saw that he was a straight A and B student. He might even be here on a scholarship. And there is something that has been, which, by the way, more pointing into what Sharon has already done leading up to here. If she got an anonymous note, the first thing to do is probably not go knock on that person's door and be like, this person said this about you. Is this true? That's probably not the first step. The first step is probably to go, oh, okay. Let me do some research into this person that is being accused of this, and let me see if there's any reason to believe that any of this might be true, or if this is a prank. You're in college. How many times have people written anonymous notes that were probably just to mess with their buddies or to get someone in trouble that they didn't like or whatever? There's probably some junk that goes in there, and Sharon probably knows that. So she's probably done her due diligence of researching this and knows that Drew was a very high caliber student and then had a massive drop off. And that only continued to reinforce what the anonymous letter said of this guy did something and he knows it and he should be held accountable. Oof. Okay, here we go. Sharon smiles sadly. She's direct but gentle. Oh, it says it right there. I took a look at your transcript. Holy crap. Okay, well, at least it's justified by the text. I took a look at your transcript. You had a tough first semester. Okay, there we go. So now we know what that means, though. We know that she got the letter. We know that she backed everything up with research. We know that his first semester that he just went through. So this means that... Okay, this means a couple things. My gut says it means that he's not a freshman. My gut says that this is a first semester of sophomore or junior or senior year of college. Because otherwise, having a bad transcript as a freshman might not have been as much of a red flag for a school psychologist counselor, because I'm sure lots of people have difficult first semesters when they're transitioning from high school into college. I'm sure they have there are lots of times where people get overwhelmed and their work suffers as a result of that. Oh, stop it. There we go. So my gut says that this is a later year, which then gives us a little bit more of a timeline that what if his whole first semester was bad, does that mean that this event, whatever it is, happened during the summer in between the years? I'm getting some flashbacks of like, I Know What You Did Last Summer and Scream and like some of those things where there's a pact, there's a group of kids, I'm saying kids, but college students who are all sharing a secret. What's this called? Tell Me Lies. There you go. They're all sharing a secret and now they're all looking to get through it, but that secret is starting to unravel. Okay, where were we? Look at this transcript. You had a tough first semester. Yeah, it's been hard adjusting. Oh, no, it is. Okay, there we go. I proved myself wrong. It is freshman year. It's been hard adjusting. I guess I wasn't prepared for the college workload. There you go. So either he's a transfer student, meaning he came from some other college where it was much lighter course load. Maybe he was doing a community college, or maybe he was just doing his AB classes, whatever. And then he got to a more advanced college and it's kicking his butt. Or, more realistically, he is a freshman in college. Interesting. Okay. So then she probably did go back and look at his high school transcripts. She looked at his college essay. She looked at his letters of recommendation. And she found enough information to know that what he's going through right now is not just college cold feet. He's going through something else. Okay, so she puts his mind at ease. She says college is a big adjustment. Yes. Drew nods silently, unsure of where this is going. Yeah, look, she lets him have that. She doesn't ask any more questions. She just lets him think he won for a second. But that makes him even more unsure because now he's unsure of where this is going. She did not chastise him, and she did just kind of agree with him. So what the hell's going on? Sharon produces an anonymous note. Okay, my gut says this says the anonymous note from Lucy and hands it to Drew. I think the original, if we didn't have this new font here, I think it would say Sharon produces the letter from Lucy and hands it to Drew. Okay. The audience knows that Lucy wrote it. Of course, no one else knows that it's Lucy. It is anonymous because when we get down here to Lucy, that font is the same as the rest of this. So the rest of the characters in the show do believe this to the rest of the characters do believe this to be an anonymous note. They don't have any leads, but the audience knows that Lucy was the author. Okay. Sharon produced an anonymous note and hands it to Drew. I received this a few days ago. There's something there, and it's subtle. But just a few days ago, that is a clue, and we're going to come back to that. I don't quite have a specific on it now. I have a couple different ways, but that is a clue. Okay? And the clue is how much time it took her to follow up on this. That's the clue. Drew reads it stunned. His worst fear. He's been, you all know that feeling of, if you're an actor, you've had that dream of being on stage and not knowing what the line is, not knowing what your monologue is. You've had those moments as a human being of someone calling you out on something that you thought you had gotten away with. This is exactly it. He's sitting there on his couch, unable to focus on schoolwork or his human necessity or anything else like that, because he is so overwhelmed with this knowledge, this secret that is running through his mind. And now, not 3 minutes later, there is someone sitting in his bedroom opposite him, handing him proof of what he was afraid that people would find out. That's the end. That's it, man. That's the end of the line. Can you tell us anything about what's in the letter? Okay. And we don't know if he read any of it. That's interesting. We don't know. Oh, no, we do. He reads it. So Sharon has a moment. Okay, great. So this is more clues. I received this a few days ago. Drew reads it stunned. How long does it take somebody to read something? A while. He's not going to read that letter in any less than 15, 30 seconds, realistically. Now, if we're doing this as part of self-tape, that we can't spend 15 seconds watching this guy read something. But what I'm getting at is, how is Sharon, this is where the technique comes in of her being a trained psychologist, watching him read it, what new clues is she gathering? How is his body language shifting? How did his breath change? What are his lips doing? What are his hands are now free from between his legs. Are his hands shaking while he's reading the note? What state of adrenaline is he in? Sorry, I'm getting a phone call, and I can't hang it up right now. Hopefully you can't hear it, but if you can, I apologize. Hopefully you can hear me better. Okay. We're just going to keep going. Do-do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do-do. I want to make a little song of it. Do-do-do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do-do. I really hope you can hear that right now, or else now I'm just doubling down on nothing. Okay, we're moving on. I received this a few days ago. Watching him for body language, she knows in this moment, before she even opens her mouth, she knows if he knows anything about it or not. Period. She knows before she says a dang word if he's guilty or not. Okay? So now she opens her mouth. Can you tell us anything about what's in this letter? He looks up at her terrified. I don't know anything about it. Okay, now she can be a better liar, because now she knows that he knows. And the audience know, here, this gets really tricky. She has just gotten proof through his body language that he's guilty. The audience has just seen her know for a fact that he's guilty. So now she doesn't have to play any of that. The audience knows that she knows. So now she can just be a damn good liar. And now she doesn't have to play anything. She doesn't have to play, suspicion at all. At all. The audience knows that she knows. So now everything that she puts on is a social mask. Everything that she puts on, the audience understands to be her hiding the fact that she knows. There we go. Okay? He looks up at her, terrified. I don't know anything about this. Okay? Do you know why someone would send it? I have no idea. Is there anyone who might be trying to get you in trouble? Maybe a friend that's upset with you? Okay. She knows something. And this is why the word friend lands on him. This is where there is something. She chose that word very specifically. It resonated with him very specifically. Is there anyone who might be trying to get you in trouble? So first she asks, is there any, are there any previous flings? Are there any rivals? Is there anyone that might be faking this? I think she already knows the answer to that, though, because... Oh, someone's here. I think she might already know the answer to that, though, because she's already proven that he's guilty. Hello? Oh, hey! Amazon! Okay, great. Do I need to sign or anything? All set. Okay, thank you. So she has now that's kind of that's a little bit more of a throwaway. Is there anyone who might be trying to get you in trouble? She's kind of asking, but she knows that he did this. But now I think this may be a friend that's upset with you. If I had to put my 2 cents on this, if I were in this position, I would say this is her fishing to see if she can start to figure out what accomplices he had. This wasn't, whatever's in that letter doesn't just say that this guy acted alone. There might be some pronouns in there of we, us, they, them. There might be some group pronouns. And so she has one name. This might be the only lead that she has. And for whatever reason, they mentioned Liam. But now, in order to continue putting the rest of the puzzle pieces together, she also has to start to figure out who else knows this information. So now, I think, or a friend that is upset with you, she says upset with you because she's trying to give him the illusion that she believes that he's innocent, even though she knows that he's already guilty. But that friend is very pointed, so that he starts to list off some of his friends' names so that she has any sort of access to be able to keep moving forward. Even if she gets a first name, she now can go to the college database and start to look up people with the same first name and freshmen. So that's very pointed. That's very intentional. That's very strategic. And he says, no, a beat. She lets him hang out there for a minute, and she also takes a moment to figure out where she's going to go next, because she just threw something at him to see if he would take it, and he didn't. So now she's letting him talk a little bit more if he wants to, and also she's reassessing how she's going to attack this, because that didn't go anywhere. So let's do something else. She is seemingly sympathetic, but she ain't. This is a very heavy secret to be carrying if it's true. So she took the opposite approach. Look at this. Look at the psychology here. She said, can you tell us anyone else who's involved? And he says no. And she says, this must be really hard what you're going through. Right? She flips it from going external to being completely internal with him. And now she has just, as a strategy, she is now offering him the opportunity to vent. She's allowing him to let his guard down, hoping that once he does, he's going to open up. So he says it's not. Oh, okay. And we do know this. Well, we've got Kara. Who knows? That might be Lucy. We do have another name in here. So there is another name. It's not. I don't even know Kara. But it won't be Lucy because Lucy sent the anonymous letter. So she never would have mentioned her own name. I'm assuming it's her, she, her, right? I'm going to use those pronouns for now. I don't even know Kara. So that must be somebody else. That must be the victim. That must be somebody that was affected by this. Sharon nods, studying Drew's face for a long time. He just jumped to a specific on his own. This is the first, other than the physical storytelling, this is the first tangible clue that she has gotten from him. And I'm sure, I don't know this, but I'm sure that a trained therapist or a trained psychologist would know that a person who is looking to cover up some information will probably try to get too specific in the areas that they're looking to cover up. Such as, I do have experience with being a kid. And if I were a kid trying to get away with something, I would probably walk into a room and say, before anyone said anything about the broken mirror in the bathroom, I'd probably walk in and say, "Whew, I've been outside for the last 3 hours. What have I missed?" Probably just trying to throw them off my scent that, oh yeah, I did come in and break that mirror accidentally. Okay? So that's he just went from having no information to being really specific. That's interesting. And now she takes that in, she studies him, she learns some more information, and then she says, "We know this very well could be a prank. But," this word but in a script is huge. But, I'm going to say but a lot right now, get ready. If there's but in a script, the moment before the but and the moment after the but are near opposites. They are contrasting. It's not very often that a character just throws out a but. Willy-nilly. We do, as people, we throw out buts all the time. There's buts everywhere. This is fun. But a character, see, I just threw it out, a character. But look at what I'm doing right now. I'm saying we do that all the time. We do it all the time. But we're talking about this side of things now. Same thing's going on here. We know this very well could be a prank. But the accusation is very serious, so we have an obligation to look into it. It is our job. So we have to keep going down this path. Okay? I swear I don't know anything. Okay. Thanks for speaking with us. She lets him, she knows that he's lying. She lets him off though. She goes, "Okay, I'll come back. No worries. Just to be clear, you're not in any trouble. We are looking into it and we will let you know if anything arises." And he picks up on her a little bit. He's, "Whoa, wait. If anything arises, I thought I wasn't in trouble." Okay, so she didn't slip, but she also isn't, she's not looking to hide anything. She's just looking to disarm him a little bit. And he picks up on that. He says, "Well, no. You just said nothing is there." And she says, "Well, I didn't say nothing is there. I said it's our job to go through and look into it." Oh yeah, look, that's almost verbatim what she says. "For now, yes, but as I said, we have an obligation to look into it." So she's letting him know, I can't pin you right now. There's nothing I can do to get you in trouble. I know that you're not a risk. You've been I can tell from your physical demeanor that you're not a flight risk and that you are low status and that you are pissing your pants right now. But I also need you to know I'm not going away anytime soon. I have an obligation to look into this because this is a very serious matter. So, what we've just found, and I think what we've just proven to ourselves, is a lot of, and I guess we ended up finding a little bit more about Sharon's approach to this, which I think is helpful because Drew is going to be a series regular. Lucy is going to be a series regular. Sharon is going to be a recurring guest star, more than likely, especially if we're meeting her in 109. She might be coming in the end of the first season. She might last for the first 5 or 6 episodes, and then that storyline might get wrapped up for season 2, or she might come back in season 2 either as a guest star again or even as a series regular. This might be the introduction to her as a series regular. Could be fine. But the audience is following the story of Drew. We just met Sharon for the first time. So what's important is that we just walked away with this knowledge that Sharon is very good at her job. She's very good at being a good liar. And I don't mean for that could be synonymous with being a good manipulator. That's not what I mean. She's a good liar. It's part of her job. Sometimes she has to put on a social mask in order to get more information out of the other person. Not for her own benefit, but in order to unravel the truth. And so she's very good at that, and she is very well trained. And we can see through her analysis of body language and text and the structure of how she approaches all of this, that she's in control the entire time. And even when she's being sympathetic to him, it's because she is digging at something else. Oh my gosh, stop calling me. Someone's calling me. Okay. For me, this is the end of this video. This was a fun script. I really enjoyed this. There was lots of stuff in here. I do wish I could have marked it up a little bit more. I'm going to go do some research and see if Tell Me Lies is available to see already, or if I can't release this video. If I can't release this video, that'd be a bummer. I'll do another one tonight. But thank you for tuning into another episode of Actor Conspiracy Theories, and I'll see you in the next